And on this Thursday, May 22nd, 2025 edition of Newsmakers, the U.S. Supreme Court has blocked what would have been the nation's first publicly funded religious charter school. Michael Kastner reports.
The case is out of Oklahoma, where there were plans for a Catholic virtual school. The state Supreme Court shot it down, saying it was unconstitutional. That was appealed to the nation's highest court, which was split at 4-4. Justice Amy Coney Barrett recused herself, although it's not known why. When that happens, the lower court's ruling is upheld. The justices did not explain their vote. The ruling only applies to Oklahoma, meaning there is not a nationwide precedent for publicly funded religious charter schools. I'm Michael Kastner.
A Chicago man is accused of shooting and killing 2 Israeli embassy staff members outside Washington, D.C.'s Capitol Jewish Museum. 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez was taken into custody following the shooting last night, yelling out as he was placed in handcuffs. Ted Deutsch is the CEO of the American Jewish Committee, which had just finished hosting an event when the shots rang out outside the venue.
What happened after the event last night is really the realization of all of the Jewish community's worst fears. This is what the community has been afraid of.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says security will be beefed up at Israel's diplomatic missions around the world after the deadly shooting, which he blamed on anti-Semitism and what he called wild incitement against the Jewish state. The Roman Catholic Archdiocese in New Orleans has agreed to pay nearly $180 million to victims of clergy sex abuse under a settlement announced yesterday. A statement by the committee that negotiated the agreement says the Archdiocese, its parishes, and several insurers will pay $179.2 million into a trust to benefit survivors. It says the money will be distributed after the church emerges from bankruptcy. The agreement would settle a lawsuit filed in 2020. But it still requires approval by the bankruptcy court, abuse survivors, and other archdiocese creditors. The suit involves more than 500 people who say they were abused by clergy. A new law limits which flags can be flown over Montana schools and government buildings. A bill recently signed by Governor Greg Gianforte restricts any flags that, quote, represent a political party, race, sexual orientation, gender, or political ideology. That means flags like the LGBTQ pride flag cannot be flown outside of schools or government buildings. In 2019, then Governor Steve Bullock faced backlash from Republicans after flying a pride flag over the state capitol. The law still allows flags like the Gadsden flag and others deemed historical flags to be flown. Flags for law enforcement officers and honoring fallen officers are also still okay. Republican Representative Braxton Mitchell, who sponsored the bill, says it is to ensure government buildings and schools remain a place of neutrality. And that's Newsmakers for this Thursday, May 22nd, 2025 edition. I'm Keith Black.